Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. Today I wanted to talk about Will Howard, and I really feel that Will Howard fell into the perfect situation to become the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He won a national championship with Ohio State. We all know that. And a lot of people that critique him and have a lot of negative things to say will say, well, look at all the NFL talent that he played with while he was at Ohio State. That's the only reason why he was that good. And I'd like to disagree with that argument because while he was at K-State and he had less talent around him, he ended up winning the Big 12 championship and went on to set numerous passing records at quarterback for the Kansas State Wildcats. Let's jump into those stats real fast because a lot of people forget that sometimes. All they do is talk about the national championship, and rightly so. I mean, it's a great accomplishment what he did. He played NFL caliber type talent week in and week out, and he won a national championship. But when he went to Kansas State and he didn't have that type of cast around him, what did Will Howard do? He put the team on his back and they won a Big 12 championship, something that nobody in the country expected them to do. Will Howard's record at Kansas State is 25-10 in 35 games at quarterback with 27 starts. He played in 34 games, starting 27 of them. Howard set the school's career record for touchdown passes with 48. He also ranks high in other passing categories, including completions, passing yards, and total offense. In his final season at Kansas State in 2023, he started all 12 regular season games, throwing for 2,643 yards and 24 touchdowns. When you look at Will Howard's resume, he has the best resume out of all the quarterbacks that came out in the 2025 draft class. That includes everybody, even Shedeur Sanders' resume is not even it's not even comparable to Will Howard's. And if you compare Will Howard to Cam Ward, Will Howard's resume is a hell of a lot better than his resume also. You got a guy here that's the size of Josh Allen, 6'4", 237 pounds. He can run. He's athletic. He's intelligent. He's super competitive. Will Howard could literally be the steal of the draft in 2025. And Will Howard was a sixth-round draft pick. A sixth-round draft pick. If anybody has the potential to be the next Tom Brady, it's Will Howard. All the traits are there. The physical tools. He has a stronger arm than Tom. He runs better than Tom. The mental capacity to learn the playbook is there. All he has to do. What is the big question mark when it comes to Will Howard? Will he have good anticipation to make the right throws? That's it. If he is able to have excellent anticipation in the NFL, he's going to be an absolute star and a steal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look at the situation that he came into with the Steelers. This is the perfect year. Let's say Aaron Rodgers doesn't get signed and it's just Will Howard and Mason Rudolph for the starting job. Let's say that Will Howard beats out Mason Rudolph, but the Steelers still start Mason Rudolph just because he's not a rookie. And then Mason Rudolph starts to struggle as the games go on and the season goes on. What happens? They bring in Will Howard, just like they did with Big Ben Roethlisberger. When Tommy Maddox went down with an injury, what happened? Ben's career started. And the way things are shaping up and the way things are looking, Will Howard could eventually have the same type of career. It's all there. When you watch John Gruden's quarterback camp, he absolutely loved Will Howard. He loved his attitude. He loved his competitiveness. He loved his passion for the game. He loved it all. But if you look when he was dealing with Jackson Dart, the energy changed in the room. Every time Chucky would poke at Jackson Dart a little bit, he got defensive and answered him back. And Chucky even said, he goes, if you watch it, he says, does everything bother you? And he tried to play it off Jackson Dart like, no. But you could tell Chucky's enthusiasm and energy for Jackson Dart was not the same for Will Howard. Now, I'm not saying that automatically means that Will Howard is going to be better than Jackson Dart. But John Gruden is notorious for developing quarterbacks. If you look at Derek Carr, when did Derek Carr have his best season ever? Under John Gruden. Rich Gannon, the same type of player. When did he have his best? When did he play his best NFL football? Under John Gruden. If anything, the Pittsburgh Steelers need to bring in John Gruden to be their quarterback coach. That'd be a great idea. You know, Pittsburgh's always struggling with the quarterback position. Why not give Chucky loves football? We all know that the Chuckster loves football. Why not give him a call and say, hey, we want you to come down to Pittsburgh and be our quarterback coach? He would develop Will Howard into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. This article was written today. Will Howard isn't slated to start. Why history says that could change. Will Howard isn't supposed to sniff the field as a rookie. He's expected to be the number 3 quarterback, hold a clipboard, and absorb all he can behind Mason Rudolph and likely Aaron Rodgers. If Howard enters the lineup, something has gone wrong, very wrong. I don't agree with that. Well, yeah, something is going to be going wrong. That means Mason Rudolph is struggling, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think this is an opportunity for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get their franchise quarterback. But it's the NFL. Little goes as planned, as the league has consistently shown. A handful of teams each year have to run to second, third, and even fourth string quarterbacks. Put the numbers to the test. Since the NFL expanded to a 17-game schedule in 2021, here's the number of quarterbacks who started at least one game league-wide and the number who started for the Steelers. I mean, I'm not going to get into all those stats because to me, that really doesn't matter. I'm just looking at it from a perspective as Mason Rudolph. We know what he could do. He looked great in his last game against Buffalo in the playoffs where we lost. We didn't have TJ Watt. We didn't run the ball good. We didn't really play a good football game. He did look good. Let's say when camp rolls around and Will Howard is taking the reps and you can see that he is more talented and better than Mason Rudolph, would it really surprise anybody if he became the starter? And let's just say everybody on the team felt that Will Howard should be the starter and the coaching staff just wanted to ease him in slowly and they still went with Mason Rudolph, which will most likely be the case. But somewhere down the line, he takes that Big Ben step. The same exact thing happened to Roethlisberger. The same exact thing happened to Big Ben. He went to the perfect place. He had a veteran in front of him. The veteran got hurt, and then he took over from there. And I think that Will Howard has that potential, has that ability to have the same story as Big Ben Roethlisberger. So let's get back to John Gruden. And I mean this. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney and Mike Tomlin, if they really want to develop Will Howard and get the most out of his ability, they need to give Chucky a call and see if he wants to be part of the coaching staff. We all know Chucky wants a second chance to coach again. Why not bring him to Pittsburgh? Let's bring his passion. Let's bring his enthusiasm. Everybody will go crazy when the Chuckster hits the field. I love seeing Chucky. I mean, it's unfortunate that he was with the Raiders and the Bucks. That's a different story. But as a football fan, a guy that loves the Shield, it's a win-win situation by bringing in Chucky to coach the quarterbacks and his passion, enthusiasm for football. I think the crowd, the city, and Will Howard will absolutely love it and benefit from hiring Coach John Gruden, a.k.a. Chucky, to teach the young Will Howard how to be a professional quarterback. Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.